As promised, guys, this is the Photopea video on removing people from backgrounds, placing them on other backgrounds. This could be used for several different assignments, including your celebrity assignment right now or layer mask assignments. A lot about what we learn in Photoshop and Photopea is selections and how to move things to other backgrounds. So this is going to be a kind of brief tutorial on one of the ways you can do that in Photopea. So I'm going to open up a picture or two different pictures of people and a picture of a background that I'm going to put them on. Okay, so I have three portraits, or three pictures, two portraits, and the backdrop. So I'm going to start with this picture here. I want to remove her from this background, or I want to get rid of all the background space around her, and I want her to be in this background instead. So first I'm going to move her onto the background piece by using my move tool, dragging to the tab that contains my background picture, and then dragging back down. Now this is obviously too big for this background. So I'm going to make her smaller in the space before I go about my selection. So I'm going Edit, Transform, Scale. Now I can't exactly see where the scale starts, so I'm going to zoom out by doing Command on a Mac, Control on a PC, minus, and I'm going to drag from one of these corners. You need to hold down Shift when you do this, or else it'll smush or stretch your image. I'm not going to worry that it's not perfect right now, that the proportions might be a little off from the background. I just want to get her on there, and then I will make that selection and remove the background. So there's a lot of different ways to remove a background. Um, in the fourth tool down, you're going to see Object Selection. All right, looks like a little, I don't know, bean inside of a square, polka dot square, marching ants. So the object selection, what that allows you to do, once you grab the tool, it's going to analyze the image, but it allows you to draw this just kind of really basic rectangle around what you want to select. It's going to tell you to keep the crosshair on the person or whatever you're selecting, and then just by doing that, it's going to analyze the image, use an algorithm, figure out contrast between pixels, and it's going to make a selection based on its finding. So this could be very good, it could be very bad, it could be a good start, you could not even want to use this at all, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to go with whatever it gives me. So it did pretty good. It selected some of this teal color over here. I guess it couldn't differentiate between those pixel colors and the hair. For whatever reason, it grabbed it. Now, before I make the layer mask, or you can go to Refine Edge to do just that, refine the edge of the selection, I could take another selection tool and subtract that selection and get it out of there. So this little piece. So I'm going to grab my lasso tool, just my regular old lasso tool, and I'm going to hold down the Alt-Option key on my Mac. And when I draw, I'm going to draw just around this selection that's odd and out of place. And I'm going to let go, and you'll see that those marching ants kind of just clung back to her hair. There's some missing flyaways from this. This is not the tutorial to learn about, precise hair selection. That's for another day. So we have this really basic selection. Refine Edge, if you click here, another dialog window will come up, and it will allow you just a little bit to kind of hone in on where the edge of your subject is. Now I'm using Photopea right now. Admittedly, Photoshop's Refine Edge tool is incredible, and if you are using Photoshop for this assignment, then I 100% should tell you go to Refine Edge. But for using Photopea, just don't even bother. I haven't really found much use from doing that yet. I'm going to click on the Layer Mask tool now, or the Layer Mask button on the bottom of the layer panel. It's the rectangle with the circle in the middle. That's going to remove the background based on the selection that I made. You see the imperfections there. Don't worry about those. We'll fix those in a little while. So I'm going to take her, and I'm going to move her over a little bit. Now, if you're using this for the celebrity assignment, I'm going to, I'd be willing to guess there's going to be a person, another person standing here, and you'd be putting yourself next to them, okay? So let's just go with that for right now. So we'll say we put you next to a celebrity. Now we want to make it look like you're actually there. Okay, and there's a lot of ways to do that too, and there's a lot of advanced ways to do that, but we're going to go over just a really basic first step on how to do that. The lighting is a little different. It looks like in this photo the light is just kind of even and it's kind of flat. It's not really coming from any one direction. You can tell that it's cloudy out. So we're not really looking for the direction of light. Usually I'd be looking for shadows on the ground, kind of seeing where see if there's directional light and see what direction that's in, so then I can make better judgments on her, on where the light would fall, and so on. So what I'm really going to do, I'm just going to kind of darken her up. I think like in this alleyway, she wouldn't be getting lit, especially her face right here, that much. If anything, if she was facing the other direction, it might make a little more sense, because it seems like over here, behind this fence, there's some light hitting this stuff. But not so much hitting this wall. It's kind of dark right there. So I'm going to flip her around, and here's something that you can do to flip her around. You can go to Edit, you can go to Transform, you can go to Flip Horizontally, and that's going to turn her around. Okay, we flipped her horizontally. Now with my Layer Mask tool selected, before I darken her up a little bit, I'm just going to zoom in, Command++, or Control++, if you're using a PC. I'm going to grab the Brush tool, and I'm going to make sure that I am painting with black. So I'm flipping these over. And with my brush tool, I can come in, and I have a really soft brush, so I'm just trying to like blend her hair in to what's already there. Took a little too much off up here, kind of got rid of her hood. So I'm bringing that back. I'm hitting X to go back to white. Now you got to be careful with the soft brush because it's kind of like spray paint, and it's going to take off, probably more than you want at some points. So if you're in this, I'm just looking at this little area, this sliver of that light blue color. I'm going to change my brush hardness, and I'm going to attack that area with a harder brush. You'll see the difference. Okay. But I always like to turn it back on to the softer brush to kind of blend with the hair. When I zoom out, that should be fine. Again, this is not an advanced tutorial. This is just really a basic getting someone on a different color background or a different background. But you can use this for a bunch of different assignments. Okay, that's a little better. It's not great. There's some mistakes. Again, tutorial for the sake of it and time. We're going to keep forging forward. Now I'm going to make her darker. I'm going to use adjustment layers. It's a little circle that's split in half colored, half not. And I'm going to use curves. I really like to use curves. It utilizes the histogram for the image, gives me where all my lights, darks, and midtones are. What you basically need to know about the curves panel is when you drag this line down, it's going to make it darker. When you drag it up, it's going to make it lighter. Okay, further up the line that you go is going to be the brighter parts of the image. So the highlights are on the top right, the shadows are on the bottom left, and then your midtones and everything in between is everything in between. You can grab any point of this line and drag it. I'm going to take it and drag the midtones down. You see how it affects her. It's bringing the color of the jacket down. It's bringing her color down. Alright, but you'll also see that it's affecting both my subject and my background. I only want it to affect her. So in order to make that a thing, we need to right-click on curves. If you're using an iPad, you can also go to the layer drop-down up here, and you're going to go to clipping mask. Clipping mask is going to make it so that the curves adjustment that I made, and being indicated by this downward pointing arrow, is only going to affect the layer that's directly underneath the adjustment. So my raincoat person here is only being affected by the curves, and you can see that by clicking on the eyeball visibility button That was before, that was after. She looks much more a part of this scene now. Okay. Um, One last thing that I can do to give kind of an overall cohesion or make it a little bit more cohesive than her in the background is I'm just going to put an effect on the whole image, almost like a little overlay of a color. So I'm going to go back down to that adjustment layer button and I'm going to click on color fill. Color fill is going to allow me to, fill in a whole layer with one color. And I can change this color later, but I'm just going to make it this kind of like dark aqua. So that doesn't really help much, but when I change the blending mode, I'm going to change it to overlay. Okay, you see it's kind of giving the image more of a vibe. There, soft light. Here, before, after. So I kind of cooled down the image by adding that green, and by doing it to both subjects, it kind of gives it a little more of a relationship between the two. I still think her jacket's a little too saturated for this scene. There's ways that you can get around that. I'll do it one real quick. Just going to go to her layer again. Okay, going back to the adjustments layer. I'm going to go to hue saturation. I'm going to turn down the saturation. That's desaturating her coat. It's also desaturating the whole background. But I'm just paying attention to her coat right now. You can do the same thing I did before and create a clipping mask. It's just affecting her now. Okay, there's the before, after. Tone down that jacket a little bit. So it looks like she's kind of a part of this image now just by doing those things. So if you're doing the celebrity assignment right now, guys, you're gonna be doing a very similar thing, but there's gonna be another person there. So look at the other person, look at the celebrity that's in the image. Maybe you're bringing yourself into that. Maybe you're bringing them into your picture. Either way, make sure the lighting looks even. Make sure the color looks the same. You can always use that little color fill trick that I just showed you to give like an overall kind of color grading to the whole image. Alright, so that's it. I hope this helped you remove someone from a background and put them on a different one. Good luck, guys.